Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, we're running a little short today. Unfortunately, Colin couldn't be with us today, but we got Brandon and we got the vet. What's up, man?
What's going on, Brandon? That was a little impromptu thing for everybody that's joining us this morning. We didn't even talk about it. That's how professionals we are. Like Colin can't do it, but we can do it, and we just have that like the link right there. He knew how to start the show off. I didn't have to say anything. So,
It's basically like walking into the show and finding out what your match is 5 minutes before you go out there.
yep, that's right. How many times that happened to you, by the way?
It's happened a few times.
I remember this one time when I was I was out here in California visiting, and when it was time for me to go back, my flight was on the night of the show. So
Ooh.
I got picked up from the airport by my tag team partner, and as we're driving back, like I'm putting on the boots, like the back seat and everything. I walk in, uh, you know, I already knew what the match was supposed to be. So it was just a matter of getting there. We got there. I talked with the guy for like 2 minutes or whatever, and then it was showtime. So that's what. How many people you think in the business could do that right now and have a good match?
Whew.
I mean, there
That's
are a
a
few,
There's a
but
few. That'd be a tough call. I mean, I can see Natty doing it because she's Hart and was trained at OVW.
well, and also she had Brock Lesnar giving her pointers, so obviously she's totally, she's always knows what to do, totally prepared.
Man, there
But
was
yeah,
one time where no joke, I was early on when I was refing a show, a dude wrestled on the show and left to go wrestle at another show, and then he had to come in for a run in at this other show that I was still on. He managed to come back, like he pulled in and got out of his car and ran in at the exact spot he's supposed to run in at.
wow,
Like you could not have timed that any better.
yeah. How many people saw that brilliance? Um, so yeah, all right. Well, I don't know if we have any major news or anything else that's really going on. Well, we might have one little piece, but we can talk about that at the end. If you saw the Destiny Wrestling, the little clip from the show last night, did you happen to catch that?
I did not. It's the first I'm hearing of it.
Okay, all right. Well, then I'll save it for later. But yeah. So, anything else that you wanted to chit chat about before we jump into this super hot episode of Impact?
I thought this was a much better episode than last week. It felt like a lot more happening and there was more going on. And I'm looking much more forward to last week than I was, or next week than I was to this week.
Right, right. Well, it goes that way sometimes. Before we jump in, let's see who we got with us this morning, real quick. This is kind of a big raid thing, but we've definitely got Buckshot Kid. He's the Impact guy. He only watches Impact. Did you know that? Do you know that's the only wrestling he watches?
Wow.
Yep, and we got Jerome Hall, who, if I'm not mistaken, people are already talking about his he having a great birthday. I hope he did.
Happy birthday.
Yep, that's right. And of course, Lisbeth had a birthday recently as well. I think we wished her happy birthday already, but it never hurts to do it again. So happy birthday, Hey, you know what? Just in advance, happy birthday to everyone. Just so you can't say I forgot to tell you. But yeah, we got Kibbles and Bits here too, and Scott Woodford jumping in. So we got a nice little crew to get us started. And I guess we'll just get started then. So we're opening the show, and they usually got their little recap going on. And Josh Alexander walks in hot. He goes right to the ring. He does just kind of cut a wrestling promo, but it's a good one at least.
Yep.
And then calls out Moose. Moose answers the call out. And then we get two healthy men fighting. Well, when there's two healthy men fighting, where are the guards? This is where Colin would hit the button that says guards, more guards. But he's not here right now. So, yeah, we get no guards. They fight backstage. I never knew this, but the former ECW arena, now I guess 2300 arena, it's purple back there. Did you know it was just all purple? Just the whole backstage area was purple.
It looked like they did some renovations there. The lighting was a lot better too.
Yeah, I've heard that place is a real shithole, but at least it's a purple shithole. So Josh tries to throw Moose off of a purple balcony, and luckily Madman pulls him off, and then Ace and Zicky, and I think that was that Gujar that was also there.
I think I saw Gujar too. Yep.
Yeah. So they all show up, and of all people, Ace Austin is the voice of reason. Like he's like, you want to? What are you doing? You want to kill him? You want to kill him? Yeah. So because Madman Fulton had the audacity to stop a murder on television, he gets a match with Josh Alexander next week. Sorry to spoil that. But yeah, so this is our opener. We have an attempted murder here, another filmed crime. But I guess it's wrestling, so he could have survived. It didn't look like the balcony was that high up, honestly. So it would.
We've seen worse falls happen in wrestling.
Yeah, we sure have. So yeah, so that was our open. It's a nice hot open. So what did you think of this, or any other notes that you had on this?
I thought this was set up pretty much like how it was supposed to go. Like if with what Moose did, this is exactly how Alexander would have responded. And then when Moose came out and started going even further, I liked how Josh didn't even say a single word. He just got out of the ring and went right after him.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that this is a little bit better than, it's still a little, like, look, I'll be honest, this is a little sports entertainment-ish, WWE-ish, but they're doing it better than WWE is these days. These days, what a shit show that WWE is putting on. Like they have so much schizophrenic formatting and just all kinds of stuff that doesn't make sense. Did you see on SmackDown where they were supposed to have the surprise that Xavier Woods was coming back, and the announcer, like, Kofi Kingston's coming out, and the announcer is like, coming to the ring accompanied by Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston. When Kofi Kingston is supposed to go out there and do a whole bit where he says, you thought you would be fighting me, but you're actually fighting this man. So now he has to go through that, even though she just said, I cannot believe this is supposed to be the standard, right? So.
It's, my opinion, I think it's Vince trying to do too much, and he can't. He can't.
Well, I mean, that's the same thing that somebody else commented, like they're well, no, somebody said phoning it in, the production's phoning it in. I was like, I wish they would phone it in, because now they can't even keep track of their same bullshit.
Yeah, doesn't look like phoning it in to me. It looks like nobody knows what's going on, and nobody bad communication. So
now you can't even get the thing of like just giving the announcers their little cards to read. You can't even get that right. You probably wrote a card earlier in the afternoon and then changed it and didn't change the card. Which is terrible, and you let that on live television. So yeah. Anyway, so when we go to break and come back, Josh is there telling, basically he's talking to Scott D'Amore, and he tells D'Amore that his emotions are in check as long as Moose stays away from his family. So more with this whole emotions in check thing.
Right. But you can't fault the guy for being, upset. I mean, this dude's like going after his family. Like anybody could relate to that.
Right. All right. So, hey, what do you know? We get a three-way to determine a number one contender, or at least a contender. Maybe not a number one contender. But we're getting a contender for the X Division title, and this is going to be Willie Mack versus Laredo Kid versus Speedball Mike Bailey. So what'd you think of this? I mean, you know how I feel about multi-man matches, but any thoughts or observations here?
I thought it was smart, at least for formatting wise, to kind of like, have that hot start and then carry it over into a fast paced match, keep that energy going, keep the crowd up. At least there was a structure, and like it felt like there's kind of a structure and story to the match, at least, where it was, you got three baby faces, but you got the two smaller ones working together against the bigger one, and then it kind of breaks down and they just does its own thing. I did kind of like the spot in the corner where it was where Bailey or what was it?
All right, and we're experiencing some
Matt,
technical.
that kind of there's a little brief bit of pause there where it made that spot make sense.
Oh, we had a brief little pause on the internet where we didn't hear everything you just explained. So,
yeah, my bad.
If you'd like to just quickly go over that spot again you were talking about.
Yeah, it was the one in the corner where it was Bailey had Mac in there, and then I forgot what he went in, but he charged in. Mac came out, and then he bounced off and hit Laredo, which just that little brief pause there was what made that move work. Where it was like, okay, I missed him, I see him, and can get him off this. Where you don't see that really enough in these matches, where it's just like to spot, where it's like you got to have that little bit in there of like slow down, see, and ghost for it to make sense.
Yeah, you have to give the people a chance to process what they're seeing and anticipate something. If you anticipate a thing, sometimes when you get it, it's not that great, but that anticipation always works, right? Where you're like, what's going to happen next? And then you might be pleased or you might be displeased with the result, but that anticipation is always the same, right? So that's the ultimate. Yeah, anything else?
Too much thigh slapping. That's kind of one of the problems with thigh slapping when you thigh slap everything, is that every strike sounds the same, when if you really hit somebody with every strike, it's not going to sound the same.
No, certainly not.
And that shooting star to break up the pin, I felt was kind of dangerous and unnecessary for that spot.
Well, it's kind of funny, right? Because we had a spot last week where a referee counted the pin on the guy, and it was made to look as if it was it was we were questioning, is that a mistake or whatever, because it was so close. In this one, he could have counted to 3 while Speedball's still in the air. You know what I mean? Like, there was so much time that he just stopped counting because he had to wait for him to fall down, because that's the spot. So, you know what I mean? I thought that was kind of funny too. Running shooting star pin breakup. Yeah. Very
unnecessary. Just a simple little just run in head and axe handle. Easy.
Yeah. And I still don't like that the ultimate weapon, the fucking shooting star knees to the back.
That's like, it's so much setup and so much can go wrong.
Yeah. So, I will say the star of this match. Well, yeah, that was a Freudian slip. The star of this match to me was Willie Mack here. He has really showed. We haven't seen Willie do as much of this stuff. He's always sort of like in the tag teams with Rich Swann and in the background a lot of times, and sometimes altogether missing. Now, I assume that when he's not there at Impact, he's maybe doing something for AAA or one of the other promotions or whatever. But there'll be times where Willie Mack is just like not there, and so it's like, to see this is the Willie Mack that a lot of us saw in Lucha Underground, right, where he really showcases his athletic ability. And you know how I'm always talking about guys and their appearance and women and their appearance, and how, like, if you're fat, you should either work out and diet down or wear clothes that show that you're not fat. But Willie Mack, it works for him because of the presentation of Willie Mack is kind of like a guy like that looks like this can do these things. So that is part of the gimmick, I think. And, I mean, he's not like morbidly obese or anything. He's just a hefty gentleman. And, he kind of looks homeless, but that's all part of the gimmick. And so big fan of Mac. And, I like that he got to do a lot of stuff, and all the stuff in this that he did look really good. I think like he had the right timing on everything. He was everywhere he needed to be. So good showing for him. And Laredo Kid is still just kind of like, I don't really know what Impact thinks of Laredo Kid, because they keep bringing him back, but he hasn't really gotten any significant wins. He's always like the third man in these type of matches for contenders that he never ends up winning, right?
He seems like the kind of guy where it's like, we need somebody to put in this multi-man match. Oh, there's Laredo Kid.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, anyway, valuable experience for Laredo Kid at the very least. Then we get a Bullet Club promo. It was a promo. Everybody said their little thing. Nothing groundbreaking here, but
It felt kind of like those old school Nitro promos where they talk about like what they're gonna do, what moves they're gonna hit them with, and just what they're gonna do in the ring. Just kind of like that.
yeah. So all these guys are capable of, well, I don't know if the Good Brothers are capable of better, but I mean, certainly Jay and Chris Bay can do more, but that wasn't their spot here. They just did what they needed to do. BTI. We get a little clip for BTI where Mahabali Shira beats Crazy Steve. So Raj Singh brings back what do you say? The Shira Indian Lion? Is that what he called himself? Or was it the Indiana Lion?
I have no idea. Indiana.
Indiana Lion. He was, Shira has been down in OVW, so you know what I mean? Like that's in that area right there. That's in that Kentuckiana area. Now, let me sidebar. What do you think about that? Like, I remember when I was down there and I'm hearing the phrase Kentuckiana, I'm like, is Kentucky trying to leech off like a better state? Like, why? Who does that? We don't like over here. We don't say like, oh yeah, this is California, Oregon. We don't have those same kind of mashups out here. Like, it's just weird, right? Like, what's up with that?
I don't know. There's also a Texarkana too. I've heard before.
Oh yeah, I have heard that. Well, anyway, that's stupid. Be your own states, you know.
It just gets weird sometimes. Like where states meet up and people are like, what are we?
I don't know. Whatever the districting line said you are. What's the difference? Who cares? But yeah, so Shira's back. Yay. That's just what we needed. Let's see if he's learned anything at this time with Al Snow. Next is Burt Macklin. During his entrance, he's doing like a cutaway promo in front of a very green wall. So we got purple and green. Perhaps the Riddler is renting out the 2300 arena here. And then so after that speech that we got last week with Rhino and Heath about teaming up, here's Heath of the singles match.
That's the exact note I got down right here. It's like, we're going to be a tag team, but we're going to do the singles thing real quick.
Yeah, we're definitely better as a team, but hold on, Rhino, I got this, right? So yeah, the match is Heath versus Macklin. Macklin throws two of the stiffest yet shittiest, quietest chops, by the way, left-handed, that I've ever seen. He should probably just retire those, I think. I would just suggest that he retire the knife edge chop. There's plenty of people doing it. You don't need to be another one because you can't, so just don't do it. That's my advice. Let's see. Macklin gets Rhino ejected by pretending to hit the stairs and doing an Eddie Guerrero thing, which the announcers even said, a little bit of Eddie Guerrero in there. Weird, because it's like you're ejecting the babyface, so which is a heelish move, but, Rhino wasn't going to do anything, so it's just like, is this just to further the whole, you can't trust Macklin, like that's the heavy-handed storytelling here I think they're trying to do?
I'm not really sure what was trying to be accomplished. I mean, it looked more like this match was more for Macklin than it was for Rhino and Heath.
Certainly. Well, he wins with his feet on the ropes. And then Rhino comes right back out now that the match is over. It was funny. The announcers, again, they're like, the match is over. Rhino's allowed to be here. Like, what are you talking about? What kind of rules are these? Like, what do you mean he's allowed to be here? Anyway, he gores Macklin, so a little bit of 50-50 booking there.
Although when Macklin took that shot at ECW, it begs the question: is like, who's his opponent in the ring, ECW or Heath?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Do you notice that, like, where people take these like little shots at nothing that go nowhere sometimes? Right. Like it's like they're trying to. People are trying to get over with smart fans, but smart fans are already watching. I don't think they're going to buy one more Macklin t-shirt because he made some comment, or just anybody with these guys. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, but I guess Macklin's here to stay. He's definitely found a place that will give him television time for whatever reason.
Yep. And it looks like at least they got a kind of a direction for him because it said, like in that promo, he mentioned he's going after everybody that distrusted him.
Yeah. All right. And then what? So,
Exactly.
So I'll tell you then what All About Me with host Caleb. Caleb with a K is the host of All About Me. Tennille asks where his loyalty lies. I guess she's been waiting since Sacrifice to ask this question.
Right.
She could have probably asked him at any moment, but she waited till this time to ask him. So then Caleb gets neck spasms, and it causes him to run away, but he runs right into locker room talk. With Madison and Swinger for some reason. Don't really remember him being on locker room talk before, but maybe this is. I'll have to ask Buckshot Kid about that. It's because he's Mr. Parazzo, says Kibbles a bit. Well, I know that. I know that's the reason, but I mean, still, I would think her influence can only go so far. Yeah, so locker room talk with Madison and Swinger, and then he eventually gets out of that. So I did like whoa, we're getting some breaking news here.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear? The breaking news is that Lab Rat has joined the conversation, but also Society Reviews has come in with the hot news that Impact has deleted most of Killer Kross's content from their YouTube channel.
Wow.
Now, why would that be?
The only thing I can think of is the way they exited. It was very, very vocal and nasty.
Well, wasn't there?
Because it was I think it was like they weren't getting their pay, and they were just like, it didn't go very well. They were very vocal about it, which they should have been because they, get your money.
Right. Yeah, it's we're talking about money paid for services rendered, not like,
Right. Not like,
the work is already done. Yeah, I don't know. Well, even so, like, but Impact deleting the stuff, like, they were in the wrong, so why wouldn't they? I don't know. Who knows? All I can tell you is that Killer Kross will be working some shows for New Japan USA, so
nice.
Please look forward to that. That's where he always belonged. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there was something. Wasn't there something? Look, I don't know. Look, I stay away from a lot of the gossip and stuff like that in wrestling anymore. I just don't have time for that shit. I used to be like looking at, the sites and seeing like, okay, what's going on? Not because I was looking for gossip, but just trying to keep up with news and stuff like that. And then you just kind of realize that everybody's just kind of regurgitating the same shit, and it usually ends up not being true. But something about Don Callis and Scarlett or probably something, right? Like there's some not savory going on there, imagine. So I definitely, yeah. Well, no, they don't need Impact, so whatever.
There's plenty of places to go.
Right. So anyway, yeah. Final thoughts on the whole Caleb running into the multiverse of talk shows.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of a creative bit. It's just it's like, why did it take him this long to figure out? Oh, he might not be completely loyal to us.
Right. Well, if anybody can match Swinger's ridiculous overacting or underacting, as the case may be, it's Caleb. He's doing his best. And then we get a Tomohiro Ishii package. Huh? The Stone Pitbull. We get a little package for the Tomohiro Ishii. That's going to be, I guess, Jonah's next opponent at the at Rebellion, even. So, as of, I believe, today, Ishii's still in Japan, so he'll just be probably headed right on his way over. He's probably already on his way over, comfortably sitting on a flight. Because you're allowed to have pets on a flight. So the Stone Pitbull should have no problem, making his way over here. I don't know. It's just a regular package, but what'd you think?
I thought it was decent. I mean, nice little intro to people who hadn't seen him before. Just kind of give them a little bit of idea.
Are you one of those people that haven't seen him before?
I am.
All right. So if this package has made you excited, look, I'm very excited, and I'm not that excited because I already know what he can do. So I'm just interested to see what's going to happen here. I'm sure they're just feeding him to Jonah, but and the only thing is Ishii, so he lightens up on some of the guys, some of the the overseas guys. He doesn't beat their ass as hard as he does the other guys, from the company. So pretty good. Aaron Ben Shlomo's asking, do I think that Cross will have more luck in New Japan than the other places he was at? Well, it's not so much a matter of luck in New Japan. In New Japan, they treat their business like a real sport, and so they kind of treat their talent like real athletes. So if they bring them in, they're bringing them in to work some dates, and they're going to get paid for working those dates. And if things go well, they bring them back. That's kind of how it's always been. Japan is still very much like a territory of the territory days. They bring people over. Some stay longer, some stay shorter. But I think Cross is definitely I think he will enjoy getting to work with some of those guys. Now, a lot of the guys in New Japan, the United States branch, they're going to be like a lot of the white dudes that you just see floating around the indies anyways. But if he gets to get like a run overseas, actually in Japan, for something, maybe even a G1 spot, perhaps. That would be a good experience for him. You can't help but level up your game. And that's all that Cross is really missing at this point, is he's just missing the reps. He hasn't been doing it that long. He's good for where he's at. He's got his character down and he knows all that stuff. So now it's just a matter of like the actual repetition of having the matches, going through the matches in front of the people, in front of the crowds. That's the kind of stuff that that's the only thing he really needs more of. I think he'll be fine. Yeah. So right after this package, we get the Jonah vignette, promo on Ishii, for the Rebellion. He basically says, "We will fight." A real life kaiju for Tomohiro Ishii. Should be an interesting match. I like this. So next is the lumberjack match with the Good Brothers against Violent by Design. Eric Young with his Casey Jones mask. He must be excited for the Cowabunga collection, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, coming to all these platforms pretty soon and now available for pre-order. So he's definitely into it.
Cowabunga, dude.
That's
Pizza
right.
time.
What was your favorite Ninja Turtles game growing up?
Ooh, Turtles in Time.
Turtles in Time. Is there really any other answer? I mean, is that not
really
the best game? And the Super Nintendo version too. Like,
oh yeah,
they added a few extra levels, and it was just a really good. That's a good game. Well, that's going to be available. They're going to have both versions on there, I believe. I think they're going to have the home and arcade versions on the collection, so that may be worth a pickup right there. But yeah. Buckshot Kid says this might be the first time Brandon's not high doing Impact Attack. Well, that's the difference when you're bright and early in the morning. You have a whole different outlook. So even the fog is somewhat dissipated as the light shines in through the window. So that's how it is today. Anyways, this lumberjack match. Ultimately, Tall Ace Awesome with Mickey Mouse gloves and Tan Oni Lorcan interfere, and Violent by Design wins. But up until that, I don't know. I didn't really have any notes or anything interesting to say about it.
It was just a match, and basically, I think it was more to set up what a potential Bullet Club Honor No More feud.
Right. So yeah, more just heels versus heels, and there's lots of healing going on. Tasha's with Gia and no music underneath. She is going to leave Savannah in the back. She's got this for this street fight. So there we go. All right, now speaking, we already talked about New Japan, okay, but this is not necessarily the representation of New Japan that I would particularly prefer, as we get Fat Eddie versus Rocky Romero. Now, Rocky Romero, for those of you who don't know, is a guy that's been involved in New Japan for like 100 years, and he's more heavily involved now in the U.S. branch, but You know, he's been part of tag teams in the past, such as Roppongi Vice with Trent, and he was like managing Roppongi 3. It's like Roppongi's the only city he's ever heard of there, but you know, that's the entertainment district, I guess. But there's nothing that entertaining about Rocky Romero, to me anyway. Nothing personal against the guy. I don't know the guy. I just intensely dislike everything he does for some reason. Just not for me. And when people see Rocky Romero, like when he pops up in places like AEW or whatever, and they talk about all of his New Japan accolades, I just cringe because I know that people that don't watch New Japan and only listen to Ben Hameen say New Japan wrong style and all the shit that he says about it, because he doesn't watch it either. Like they see this fucking the Young Bucks and Rocky Romero and Trent and all this, and they think that's what New Japan is. And it just makes me sad knowing that there's so many people out there that think that. And here's Rocky Romero in this match. He kind of plays it straight though in this match with Eddie. It's just a basic match again. What did you have to say about this affair?
One of the first things I noticed immediately was like when they did the chop off, and then all of a sudden the babyface has to use the eye poke because he can't beat him.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of his. It's just like that's like one of his things, like his heelish babyface things. You know what I mean? Or are you talking about Eddie's eye poke or
no, Romero? Cause like, cause
right.
Yeah, cause he was like Eddie was like no selling him, like, and then all of a sudden he does the eye poke on Eddie. It's like, you're the baby face. Like, shouldn't you go for something else?
No, his baby faceness comes from him being a sneaky, dirty, character. Like,
Gotcha.
People think it's funny, right? Like that's the gimmick. And just like you are like, huh? That's how I feel about it. So I'm just,
yeah, like
didn't really do anything for me.
Right. If it was presented a little bit differently and we got to know this guy and we, got it, okay, this is what he does, and then it would make sense when he does it.
Well, yeah, I'm sitting here thinking like, why is he even here? And that's not just because of my bias. It's like I'm literally saying like, why is he here? Because he's not connected to anything that's been going on with as in terms of like the Honor No More stuff.
Right.
Other than the fact that there's a working relationship between Ring of Honor and New Japan over the years, but that really doesn't have to do much with Rocky Romero. I don't remember if he was announced as gonna be here, but even if he was, they just announced a cold match. Like there was no lead into it, so it's kind of just like, oh, look who's here. We can use him, I guess. I don't know.
Right, and the match itself basically just felt like kind of like just 10 minutes of something of a result we already knew was coming.
Right. So that's basically it. It's just a chance for Eddie Edwards to beat somebody, which he does with some kind of roll up. That's the other thing. Like you're supposed to be the faction that's playing by their own rules and taking over, and just every rehash of the NWO that anybody can think of, and then you win with the roll up. Not
right, yeah.
Hit him in the eye. Hit him in the eye with a fucking kendo stick. Rocky Romero's got that stupid eye patch he wears sometimes. Why not hit him in the eye?
Right.
Something dirty like that. Instead, it's just a roll up, and then when they're just sitting there arguing about it or just talking back and forth, like talking shit to each other. And then he decides he wants to get heat on Rocky and kick him or whatever and fight him. And then John Gresham comes in for the save so that he can lightly chop Eddie in the t-shirt. And that was awesome, right? That's a house of fire right there. Just lightly tapping a man in the chest who's wearing a shirt. This whole thing was just sort of out of place, and I didn't like it.
And I've really been disappointed with how they've handled Honor No More since they've put Eddie with them. So it was felt like, all right, they're here. All right, now what are their motivations? What are their goals? Do they just want to? All right, we just want a job. All right, we're here. We got it. Now what? What are you guys going after now?
Exactly, and that's what we were talking about before, where I was like, if you. You say that Impact is corrupt, so you join this group, and then now they're sublet by Impact. So it's like you're now one step even further down. than you were before. At least you were getting directly paid. Now you have to count on them to pay your subgroup that they probably have heat with for forcing them to. This is stupid. This whole thing is stupid. Wrestling's stupid. Why do we watch it? Why do you guys watch it? Anyways, back to the next segment, which is Zicky Dice. He's enjoying Swingers Dungeon quite a bit. I'm not going to dignify this segment with a response, so I'll let you talk about it as much as you want to.
I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun with these two together. Just like the two like decent, in my opinion, one good comedy, one decent comedy, pairing together, and just I think that we get a lot of entertaining material out of this.
Yeah, well,
Like I like the bit, like the thing is like this is like the driver's permit person where I'm in the driver's seat.
I guess if you like it, I don't know. This is just like we're always saying, like, what is this? What does Rocky Romero have to do with Honor No More? I'm like, what does this have to do? What does a weird sex dungeon have to do with pro wrestling? Other than all these double entendres and inside jokes that nobody gets. Yeah. Kibbles and Bits. I like this segment, and them teaming up will be fun. Well, if I had the ability to time you out, I would. Just for saying that, believe me. So anyways, we're already at the main event here. We're just coasting through in record time because because people only have so many hours of weekend left, and we want to let them enjoy it. So we're not going to hold you up too much longer. But the Philadelphia street fight with Mickie James and Tasha Steelz. Does it feel like every single show, or at least once a week, some company has some kind of a street fight?
It does. It really does, and it's whatever town they're in.
Yeah. Well, of course, that's definitely, you just have to. It can, and there's no difference in the street fights based on what town you're in. They just name it, and that's it. There's no other differentiation. I don't know. I don't really have any. What can I say? These, you know what I mean? Like, I can't provide any insight into a hardcore match where they're swinging trash can lids and other phony shit. Like, this is not my area of expertise, so I leave it to you.
There was one bit of psychology I did like in there where it was where after Evans had come down and it was double teaming, and then Mickie ended up having to bite her way out, and it was like, well, no, well, if she's a face, why would you bite? When it's like, well, when you're in a situation where you're getting double teamed and you're fighting for your life, it's kind of like, well, the psychology is there. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, now, so ultimately, Chelsea costs Mickie the match here. This is who we were talking about last week. Like, well, what's going to happen? How are they going to do it? I prefer like a slower sort of a turn, and they kind of just did like a lot of nothing, and then of course turn on a dime like immediately. Let's just do it now. And even Cardona comes in and gets a piece, gives the radio silence to Mickie James.
Yeah, this could have went a little bit further of the just Mickie getting the shit beat out of her, and then like next week, getting Chelsea like, well, you told me to stay in the back.
Right. No, instead it's full-fledged movie villain, sitting on the chair, glaring. Yeah, 180-degree character turn. Cujo says, I don't know why I'm here, but here I am. Yes, I don't know why we're all here.
Actually, yeah, Elizabeth brought up some mentions. I think isn't Cardona's next defense Aldis?
That already happened. So is there another defense coming up? They had the match at the Crockett Cup this past weekend, and I don't know. I guess that's the tie-in, right? But Cardona won that, so I mean, what's the extra heat with Mickie? Like, just rubbing it in? I mean, all right, but I realize what I just said, chat, so don't go crazy. But yeah, so like, I don't know. I guess that's the connection. But once again, we're not even, if that's the connection, but we're not even having Cardona wear or talk about the NWA Championship on this program. It's like missed opportunity. Yeah, I don't know.
Or it could be one of those things too, where like this is another problem that AEW has is like they assume that everybody knows.
Right. I mean, sometimes I guess there's a balance, right? Because I don't like being told a bunch of stuff I already know. And then I also don't like people assuming that I already know something. So there's a way to do it without making the audience feel like babies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So people have to find that particular delivery method and just kind of stick to that. But it seems like everyone struggles with it. It's like feast or famine with the information. I don't know. It doesn't seem that hard. And the announcers can do a lot of that, just like as they're talking.
Tell this.
And I'll wait for Brandon to unfreeze here. Yeah, I mean, wrestling across the board has got a lot of problems. And I think it's funny that the NWA kind of still exists, because that used to be like, the NWA used to be made up of sort of territory owners that would kind of discuss things and cooperate to a certain extent so that everybody made money. Now, of course, I'm sure there was all kinds of carny bullshit and backstabbing and underhanded stuff then. Of course there was, but
Sorry, internet went down again. My bad.
Oh yeah. Don't worry, I vamped for you. What were you saying?
I think we were talking about the announcers and just the ways things are set up, or they recap and explain stuff throughout the show. And you can just have the announcers just do that, just little reminders throughout the show. It's not that hard.
Right.
That's what they're there for, is to tell the stories.
Right. But then on the other side, like I don't know. I love being explained the Royal Rumble rules over and over again. Like, do you you know what I mean? Like, so there's that. But yeah, so that was that's pretty much how the show went off the air, right? Basically, heat with Chelsea turning on her bestest friend ever, best ever friend, and the couple just sort of like glaring at her. I don't think they're going to bring Nick Aldis back in here to get any retribution, but then again, you never know. So,
speaking of which, whatever happened to Christopher Daniels? He was supposed to be back, and then he was like, came in for like 2 weeks, and then it was gone.
Oh, you mean Christopher Daniels, the head of talent relations over at AEW?
Oh shit, I did not know he was doing that.
Something like that. I think I heard that, unless I misheard it, which is possible. All right, so then, this was the end of this show, and then I guess last night at Destiny Wrestling, they had an event called Haywire, and then so what would happen is Josh Alexander, I believe, had a match with John Hennigan, whatever he calls himself, Johnny Destiny maybe right now, so after the match, he had the wife and kids in there while he's doing like the promo. And then Moose runs through the back into the ring, spears his wife, and takes off. It's on Twitter. And I'm gonna... God, I wish I could... Because maybe Buckshot Kid can post the link if he has it in the chat. Unless the links are disabled or something. But yeah, in anyway, it's on Impact's official Twitter if you care to see it. They showed the clip. But yeah, Moose comes in with the hooded sweatshirt. They've got a camera like following him through the back. So yeah, a little bit planned, but maybe this is his cameraman that he says, let's go to, right?
Yep. We've established he has somebody that works for him that carries a camera.
Yeah. Making the Moose documentary. So, this is the newest piece of info to this puzzle of, Moose versus Josh. So now, this is definitely Moose not staying away from the family. So will Josh Alexander be able to keep his emotions in check? I guess we'll just have to tune in and find out. Although that technically wasn't a cliffhanger for the actual show, so if you aren't following these things on Twitter, then you didn't know about it. But I like that. Just Moose being a heel. That's kind of how it's got to be. And I'm looking forward to anything that Moose does, but there was very little Moose on this episode again, right? Just kind of a little bit at the beginning, and God, we sure can't have these two men fighting. Somebody's gonna kill somebody, and that's before he speared the wife. Yeah. So, yeah.
What if they did something where they had Josh break into Moose's house and jump him?
That would make sense. I just imagine that Moose lives alone and nobody loves Moose, and Moose is an island unto himself, and he can't hurt Moose that way. That's the only thing I could think of. At least that's what I'd like to believe. But yeah. So that's it for Impact. We don't have we've got some stuff coming up this weekend. I guess there's probably some pay-per-view going on this weekend. I don't know. Maybe some of you have heard of it. But I think there's also something on Saturday. Is it Saturday? Multiverse of Matches.
Yep.
Where they were like showing some of the matches that are going to be on there, a little cross promotional stuff there. I think probably be taking a look at that. Although I don't know. I was thinking I don't know if this new time slot is always going to work out either, for specifically instances like this where if they do a Saturday night show, I literally don't have enough time to watch it before we're supposed to go on and talk about it.
Shit, yeah, that's right.
So it's either at the very least, we would have to bounce the recording time back and forth depending on if there's a Saturday night show that we're going to cover, right? So we'll look more into that going forward. But yeah, so that's pretty much like I said, all we have for this episode. And of course, if you guys haven't already seen, which I'm sure you all have, it's that time. It's finally that time for the Hammy Award voting for this year, for your favorite everybody's from HMG over the year of 2021. 2021 wasn't the best of years, but HMG tried to make it a good year for all you guys and give you a ton of content. So that's right. So you can go to the what is it? It's on something, Survey Monkey, I think is the website or whatever. But I'm sure you can find somewhere there's a link to go and vote for your favorite. You got a few different categories or whatever that Brandon here is as Brandon Impact, just in case you were confused of who Brandon Impact is. That's also a John Hennigan thing, right? He's if you ever do a guest spot on you'll be Brandon NXT if you do a show with me and Big Ray. So we'll do one of those. But yeah, Liz says it was hard voting because and I did not vote. And that for that reason, I'm looking at the categories, and I can't choose some people over other people, especially with the HMG Soldier of the Year awards. Some of those guys and gal represented are here with us right now, and trying to pick a best follower is trying to choose between your own kids or whatever. And that's a very fitting analogy because you know what I mean? You are some of you do need to grow up, and if you talk back to me, I will own you. So you really are like my kids, but I can't I can't choose them, and I certainly can't talking about a producer of the year and then have to make a choice between Big Ray and Colin, and then have to hear about one of the from the other one for the rest of the year. Not that the votes aren't anonymous, but you know what I'm saying, right? So I just abstain from all the voting, but I don't encourage you to abstain from the voting. I want you to vote with your hearts, And if you think I deserve it and you think Brandon deserves it, then go ahead and vote for us. But if you think we don't, I'd rather you vote for who you think really does deserve it.
What he said.
Right. So, yeah. And so go ahead and do that. And let's see, what else do we got going on that we can talk about? We could kill a few minutes here or there.
Yeah, we got a little bit.
So we've got obviously you all know where to find me at this point, at Opinion Haver everywhere. And we've got Brandon, you could tell them where they can find you at on all the social media platforms.
You can find me at all the places at Miss Tia the Transarchist. We actually just had a Twitch stream last night where we were doing the new content in BC Classic that just came out, which was, well, not really new content, but, you know, the way they're releasing it, the older stuff. At a ZA raid last night that went pretty well. Going to be trying to get more stuff in depending on how work and life goes. Hopefully things start winding down and get a little bit easier, but you know how life can be at times. It doesn't really always want to give you what you want.
No, it's not interested in what you're doing at all. So yeah, that's cool. So as long as you get those streams in, you know what I mean? And keep, I mean, do you find streaming to be, a good outlet for you? Or do you sometimes feel like it's another obligation? Like, oh, I feel like I should stream even though I don't really want to right at the moment. Do you ever have that kind of thing?
I kind of have both at times.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. That's usually where I'm at with it. Like I feel like I should, even though sometimes I just want to not. But I mean, I kind of feel like, if it's like gaming and stuff, you're going to be playing the games anyway. So, you know, you do your best with it. Everybody's popping in now. It's, this is like a record short show. So we're just killing some time here. We can do a YouTube AMA. If you want to ask, Brandon or myself any questions before we get up on out of here. Oh, very nice. Then, you know, feel free to do that. I, for the rest of today, am probably going to be checking out the finale of the New Japan Cup. I'll see who won it a few hours ago. No spoilers, please. And that's what I've got going on. And then you got to get off to work today?
Yeah, I got a work day today, unfortunately.
Or fortunately, because you have a job and you make money.
That's just true.
All right, we got a question already. Cujo62 says, what's your favorite cheese? My favorite cheese is the jokes you put in the chat, Cujo. Next question.
Mozzarella.
Okay. Mozzarella. Yeah, no, let's see. What is my favorite cheese? I never really thought about it. There's a lot of good ones. Pepper Jack's a good one. Colby cheese. Just some real good cheddar. Gouda. You know, that's it. Cody won the New Japan Cup. Oh, I knew he was going to do something stupid. Who is my favorite wrestler? Jeez. I don't know. Well, I don't really have a favorite wrestler. But I oscillate back and forth between certain guys, like when I'm in a certain mood. Like Moose is obviously like always right around the top. Like I really like Moose, really like Keith Lee, really like Okada, Minoru Suzuki. I like the Stone Pitbull, Tomohiro Ishii, which we'll see coming to Impact pretty soon. Who else do I like? Becky Lynch. I like who else? Let me think. Some people from, let's see, who else in AEW? Who do I like in AEW right now? MJF. Who else?
I'm back after I crashed, sorry.
Oh yeah, I was just naming favorite wrestlers. Well, do you have any current favorites right now?
Current favorites. Moose, obviously.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Moose is ridiculous.
Oh. Man, that's kind of a tough one.
It's different too. Like you look at it differently when you like from the inside, because you're watching like guys that do the job good, not necessarily the people that are just flat out entertaining or to your personal taste. Like you look at like at least that's how I do it. Like when I watch performers, even if it's acting or whatever, I like guys that really do the job. So that's why Okada's such a joy to watch, because when you watch him, you're watching like the best guy doing it right now. And you see little things that nobody else does, but that's like inside stuff that I don't think the fan sees. Fans may have a totally different, thing that they're looking for, when they watch wrestling. So, sports cars or muscle cars? I don't really care about cars too much, but of those, I think muscle cars are cool. I mean, there's all kinds of cool vehicles of any type. What do you think?
Oh man, mean, I always look at car. To me, a car is just a tool to get you where you need to go.
Right. Well, they have plenty of those. What's your favorite wrestling review? Can you really name anyone after Moose except for Swinger? Yeah. Lots, not necessarily on Impact. Well, no, that's not true. Who else do I like on Impact? One thing that happens to me, I don't know if it happens to you, but like when someone asks like, what's your favorite of, and then a bunch of stuff and it all like bottlenecks. And now that I'm trying to think of all of them at once, I can't think of any of them. Tennille Dashwood, obviously. Yeah. So favorite wrestling review I've covered. Shit. I don't know. Is that like what's my favorite of the shows that I've done, or the shows that I've watched and had to talk about since I've been here? If that's the case, I have no idea. I feel like I've just been getting shit shoveled into my face ever since I've been talking about wrestling on these. But anytime that I go on Destino with Jargo and get to talk about New Japan, that's always a good time. So I'll take that. Do you have an answer for that? It's going to have to be some Impact show.
Probably.
What was your favorite Impact pay-per-view you've seen?
Man, I'd probably say Wrestle House too.
God, you know what? This show's over. No more questions for you. Candace Speza says, what year did the crowd start the shut the fuck up chant? I don't know. Probably sometime in the mid 90s in ECW. I don't think that we really take into account as fans sometimes, because it's been so long, that everything that you guys claim to hate about wrestling fans these days, I'm talking about you fans in the chat now, other people that complain about fans on Twitter, and wrestlers that complain about fans. You're all talking about this came from this crowd that was at this building, the 2300 arena. Those were the people that started all this shit. So if you don't like it when people say that this is awesome, or that you deserve it or stuff, it's all really just like it's born from that. It may not be directly from that, but ECW came up with chants for everything. They're the reason that there are chants. It's ECW 100%. Like mid 90s ECW. Lita, when she was there as Miss Congeniality, some of my other favorites were she's a crack whore, and then what was anytime the FBI was out, where's my pizza? They'll be asking you that later tonight. What are some other put your favorite ECW chants in the chat right now, and then we'll move on to a different question.
See, I think did they chant? If you chant, you suck dick.
Yes, absolutely, yes. That was ECW for sure. Who is the most boring wrestler whose name is not Dakota? Well, here's Aaron Ben Shlomo running down Dakota Kai again for some reason. He loves to hate Dakota Kai. They've got a love-hate relationship like that. Boring wrestler. Who is the most boring wrestler? Well, for me, it's gonna have to... there's a lot of boring wrestlers. I think a proper question is like, who shouldn't be boring, who is? And to me, that's going to be like Dolph Ziggler. You know what I mean? Like I look at Dolph Ziggler and he can do everything except make me care. He's a full utility player, but the one thing he can't do is make me care. So, there's that. Let's see. How much weed can Brandon smoke if Brandon could smoke weed? Well, I think he
The whole
does,
thing.
and he can, and he will.
All of it.
And all of it. Maybe not all at once. Would you rather be 10 feet tall or 3 feet tall? Now that is a question. Damn. 10 feet tall. Gotta be. Especially if I'm proportionate. It's not ideal. But it'd be more ideal than 3 feet tall for sure. I would say that. What do you think?
Oh man, it's got the pros and cons there. 'Cause there's some shit you can do when you're small that you can't do when you're tall.
Right. I'm not even going to dignify these questions from Bobo. Come on, Bobo. This is what I was saying when I said that some of us need to grow up. That's what I'm talking about. Let's see what else we have. Yeah. Don't tell Colin or Big Ray what's my top 5 video games. I don't know, man. Can you narrow it down to 5? Like, there's been so many great games over the years. You almost have to go with like franchises, right?
Yeah.
Like you just have to have multiple franchises. I've always liked, well, obviously the Street Fighters. Starting at Street Fighter 1 actually is that I go that far back. And then what else? Some stuff that I like. Mega Man stuff. What else? I don't know. Super Mario Brothers, like think about how legendary a game the original Super Mario Brothers was, and then you think about what they did with 2 and 3, just like really defined a lot of there's a lot of things that don't happen without Mario in a certain sense, like even starting at Donkey Kong, if you want to count that, right?
Absolutely.
And then Super Mario 64, where would we be with all these polygonal 3D platforming games without Super Mario 64? Like, they laid it down basically at the template.
Or when they're doing
Brandon froze up again. While he unfreezes, maybe Sub-Zero hit him with an ice ball in Mortal Kombat, which is another fun franchise. Lisbeth has, okay, he's back. Okay, what were you saying?
what was it? I think it was like shit, I lost it. Oh yeah, you ever play Super Mario RPG on the Super Nintendo?
Yes.
Yeah, how that went 3D back in the day too.
Right. Yeah, that was when the Super Nintendo was trying to do that, like the claymation graphics,
Right.
On all these games and stuff, and using the FX chip on. Remember, like, what was that game? There was like FX Race or FX Racer or something like that, or Star Fox.
F-Zero.
No. It was like this weird. It was like a weird polygon car racing game, where like there was like these goofy looking cartoon cars with big tires. Maybe somebody else remembers it.
Yeah, I've drawn a blank.
But the worst video game I ever played, shit. Well, I don't know, but since this is a wrestling podcast, I got to throw out The Simpsons Wrestling as one of the worst video games ever made. Like, you would think you couldn't go wrong with 3 things that are cool: The Simpsons, wrestling, and a video game. But somehow they made it the absolute worst thing ever. Top things worth of New York City, couldn't tell you. Haven't been there. Can Vet go one show without hating on Dolph? No, I cannot. I must always hate on Dolph. Well, that's the thing, Mike. It's like part of it comes from the fact that he's so good. That like I'm just disappointed with him. But hey, that's my personal bias. What in life is not personal bias anyway? Like isn't literally everything about your opinions personal bias? So let's see. Besides wrestling, what are you two going to watch on TV this week? Now, that's a good question.
That is a very good question.
And the answer is, what is there besides wrestling? Just kidding. Okay. I don't know. What am I gonna watch? Is there? Speaking of The Simpsons, is there a new Simpsons episode? Can you believe that show's still on?
Damn.
It's in a current season right now. And there's going to be a new episode later tonight, so I might check that out. If they do a top 5 video game franchise, would you guess on the Ridiculously Random Pod? No, absolutely not. That's not a rib. I'm not going on that show. Let's see. Favorite type of music and bands you enjoy? We'll start with you, Brandon. What are you listening to?
I pretty much stick with 90s alternative.
Oh, so you must have had a big part in the last Ridiculously Random podcast, which I didn't hear, by the way. Can you recap it for us? What did they? Because remember at the end of Next Level, Ray said something like, "What did he say?" Like, it doesn't have to be rock; it could be rap. I was like, "That's not alternative now, is it?" Alternative is just means soft grunge. That's basically all it means. But yeah, it's like so. Do you have some favorite bands from that era? Like, what would you say is one of your favorite bands from them?
Ooh, man, it's kind of a. I can't really pick one. Let's see. There's Live, Nirvana,
Live, okay.
Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Silverchair, Sponge, Local H.
Okay, now I'm starting to not know these. Local H, that's what a lot of these bands were doing too. Shooting up a little Local H. That's why some of them ain't with us anymore. Those first
Stone Temple Pilots.
Stone Temple Pilots, right?
I actually do like Hootie and the Blowfish.
Yeah, Hootie's good. Hootie's good. That first, Cracked Review's good. I didn't listen to anything after that.
Yeah, same.
But what's it called? Pearl Jam's first 2 albums, 10 and Versus, like you don't get too much better than those 2 albums, like top to bottom. A lot of bands had like a good album with like maybe 4 or 5 good songs on it, and then the other ones would be like, okay, like not necessarily bad, just kind of filler. But 10 and Versus are fucking awesome, top to bottom, pretty much. A lot of iconic songs on those.
Oasis, can't even forget about them.
Oh yeah, Oasis. They thought they were the Beatles. Kinda. Yeah, I remember, what else? Alice in Chains is a big one. Dirt, that's actually one of my favorite albums from that time period. That's another one top to bottom, like every single maybe there's one song on there that's not awesome. I can't remember what it is, but like Down in a Hole and, Dem Bones and like all those songs like really good.
Wood, loved Wood.
Wood, that's a good one. I know everybody like knows
R.E.M.
Rooster, but that's not that it's not that cool with me. Let's see. What else do we have? Do you think NXT made a mistake by letting Nduka go? He looks good on MLW. I don't know. I don't know if they made a mistake. Because you see what they do with everybody that they have. So, I mean, there's so many can't miss prospects that that went nowhere, and they should have been something. So, I don't think they made a mistake, and I think anybody that can get out of there and sort of make a name for themselves, make a living on the indies, I think that's probably ultimately preferable, because at least you won't feel like you're wasting your time. You won't feel like you're in prison there, just showing up, making it to all the shows, and then just sitting in the back not being used. So, ultimately, is the Simpsons game worse than the Atari 2600 game for ET? I probably, yes, I'm going to say that. Would I rather be named Butch or Gunther? Jesus.
Gunther.
Yeah. Oh, Jake Hager, also boring. Yes. Very boring. Very boring. And
yes,
the excitement from Jake Hager comes from the fact that he's actually this bad at wrestling this far into his career still. So like that part makes it a little more exciting. but it's still bad. He's definitely more boring than Dolph Ziggler.
Definitely.
So let's see. Any other questions? Scrolling down the questions. Yep. Do you two have a favorite movie pre 1950s? That's a good question. Actually, a lot of movies pre 1950s are really good, but I don't know if I have one favorite.
I can't even think of any movies I've seen pre 1950 except for Wizard of Oz.
Right. Dude, there's some really good, like, well, even going back to the silent era, if you look at some of like the Chaplin stuff, like Gold Rush, you know, and like you got Buster Keaton's got like The General, like those are two really good movies, like considered by some to be their masterpieces, and that's just those guys. And then you've got all the, you know, like the Marx Brothers, like Duck Soup, Horse Feathers, Coconuts, Animal Crackers, like those are all great pre-19. King Kong is another great movie pre-1950s. One of the benchmarks of all cinema, King Kong. It is gonna have to. I'm gonna go with King Kong. Might be my favorite. I'm just gonna throw it out there so I don't give one of those wishy-washy answers. That's not an answer, but King Kong. You can't really top King Kong. Maltese Falcon, decent. I seem to have been abandoned again, so maybe Brandon's gonna drop out and come back in.
There we go.
We back. Nosferatu's pretty decent. Thin Man, yep. There's like they made several of those. Thin Man. What's another one? I don't know. I was just naming a bunch of old movies. I think I'm going with King Kong as to be my favorite. So, oh, he's back again. Did you hear me?
Nah, I missed it. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just saying if I had to nail down one favorite for pre 1950s, I could just go with King Kong.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Bet. Yeah. Just think about it. Like there were certain movies that were like, at least in terms of special effects, they were like benchmarks in terms of, and like even before King Kong, The Lost World. Like if you guys have never seen that, The Lost World is very similar, except instead of just focusing on one giant ape, it was just like a lot of dinosaurs. And then like a dinosaur came back, you know, and got on the mainland of the United States or whatever. It was like a brontosaurus or whatever rampaging through the city at the end, and they were using like the stop motion animation, which is pretty fucking cool for the time. And then King Kong came after that. So, but good shit. But pre 1950s, you know, there's less. A lot of movies really started taking off through the 50s and 60s. A lot of good shit in there. So, but yeah, I'm gonna go with King Kong. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any more questions right now, except for, is this Impact Attack a preview of the real Impact Attack? No, this is it. This is it. Colin can appear alone if he wants to. But I don't think he will be. I think he will definitely be hitting the hay as soon as he gets home. So, okay. Well, I guess that's going to just about do it for us, unless you got anything else.
I think we are good, homie.
All right. Well, then we will see you all the next time that we see you guys. WrestleMania will have at least half happened, but we may have to move back to our regular time if we're ever going to cover all the things that we need to cover. So it could be another late Monday night, early Tuesday morning for us. But whenever you see us, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, smash that notification bell and everything like that, so that whenever we do come on, you will be alerted, and then you can join us. And if you're quick, you can join us, you know, after the fact, before they take, you know, private the video. So just don't tell anybody about that. All right. But thanks for joining us this week, guys, and we will see you next time. Brandon, restart your router. It's too late now.
Later, guys.